afternoon. My name is Simran Jitinwa Singh. I'm the team leader of the project. The project name is The Generations and Ageism at Workplace. My team members are Molly Patel, Jivu Park, and Priyanka Panchal. I will do the voiceover for all the slides. We will look into the introduction, the problematic of the project. Today's workplaces are comprised of employees from a range of generations. Now, those generation gaps are created by a variety of worldviews, work habits, ethics, ambitions in life and family responsibilities, and obviously creating conflict and confusion in the workplaces. So we shall look into this issue in detail. We will discuss the 4-generation characteristic, the task, the strength and weaknesses, and also discuss the term ageism and how to fight it at workplaces. The goal statement is to identify and recommend the best improvement measures for each generation's missing link by understanding the work ethics and obviously how we can make it as a positive and productive relationships within those generations. The objective is to focus on each characteristic, the weaknesses, the benefits or the strength of each generations, and how they play along in the workforce through few business situations. We will look into the solutions and recommendations which are proposed, so each generation can lead to productive and dynamic relationships. In terms of the research method, we've used 2 different sources. So we've used one primary research. We managed to interview a project manager and discuss the real life challenges and solutions to combat the generational differences. The research questions were very concise and targeted, so we get to understand and get a grip on the solutions to this problematic. The second resources were mainly based on cynical libraries and web articles of real cases in business, huge organizations to even startup companies are facing. So going into the scope, we will give you a quick debrief, or we'll analyze the 4 generations. Again, the main trait of them. We will analyze a few real cases, situations, which we gathered through the 2 main research methods. And we will investigate further with what are the judicial structure in place in Canada to fight ageism, and what are the best solutions and recommendations for it. In terms of limitation, we were limited to get secondary researches interviews mainly from the baby boomers and the Gen X generations, because simply there's not much data or interviews on that subject from the younger generations. And also we were limited to only 1 physical interview with the professional, which was used as a primary research. Generations Chronicle, so we'll discuss the baby boomers. Now, this is the generation which was born after the Second World War, from 1946 to 1964. Now, this generation is literally, it built the biggest share of the nation's parents with the children under 18. So this is the generation which was born after the Second World War, having seen their parents, coming out from factories and manufacturing industries, kind of work ethics were implemented into them. No wonder they were called workaholics, because they tend to work as a team towards the same goal. We have to bear in mind that this is a generation which works for 10 to 15 years for the same employers. 59% in Canada are being said to work for the same employer. 76% desire to work with flexible work schedule for family and friends time. Baby boomers value a lot face-to-face interactions, neighborhood relationships. That means a lot to this relationship. Now we'll talk about the Gen X. Gen X were mainly born between 1965 to 1979. This generation is known to have very individualistic nature, almost the contrary of the baby boomers. Very independent, self-sufficient, time is considered really precious as gold. This is a generation who started to be very active on social platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn as well, and they are very at ease to communicate by email, smartphones, and online shopping. So we have to bear this in mind for the work ethics. Also, they become a generation implemented those trends into the businesses as well. Next is the Gen Y, the millennials. So these are born between 1980s and 1994. They're known as the liberal, insanely tech-savvy, very expressive, confident, open to new ideas and market trends. So this is one of the largest segments in the workplace. And so it's really, really crucial to understand as an employer that you shouldn't ignore the needs, the way of work, and, the way of communication desired, so that will be quite detrimental. Also, 78% enjoy working than just making money. So going to work is not just making money 8-hour shift as in factory, but it's enjoying the work ethics, it's enjoying the process, it's enjoying the business ethics as well. And 87 desire to look into career growth after a few years. Now, the Gen Z or the iGen generation are mainly born between 1997 to 2012. Now, this is a generation which has never seen the world without internet. Google has been their godfather and the main source of information or anything they require. The main mode of communication is really thinking global, digital, social media, and mobile texting. Communicating is one of the best way for them. They tend to even break up through texting. Moving on, they tend to have a very unlimited consumerism attitude, which means that they tend to buy a lot of products, services, whatever comes in the market, trying to get into new developments and trends, and they are one of the most self-directed and confident generation till now. Now we will discuss the ugly truth of ageism. Now, what is ageism? Ageism is about the stereotyping and the prejudice and the discrimination we do against people based on their age, mainly the older people. Side effects: they're overlooked for employment, restricted from social services, they're stereotyped in the media, and of course, they don't get access to most of the community services as well. And it could be worse for them, obviously, if they, their gender, disabilities, physical or mental disabilities, race, color, ethnicity, religion, culture, anything makes a difference or stand them out from the crowd. How to handle and fight ageism? Now, as per the World Health Organization website, ageism fight could be done effectively through 3 main strategies. First, the anti-discrimination laws, which means that a lot of laws should be implemented into the Canadian system or even American system to help those older people file cases and get justice if they faced any age discrimination in the workplace based on their disabilities, sexual orientation, ethnicity, color, or religion. So that should be implemented for all the nations in the world. They should also abolish mandatory retirement age, which means that elimination of all mandatory retirement policies. Retiring at 65 or 60 shouldn't be there at all. Everybody's capacities are different and they should be judged on their performances. Lastly, but the most important, is change the person mindset. Now, as per our researches, the primary research and all the secondary resources, we clearly understood that investing in personal growth, career development, the new technological trends, market trends, and eventually treat the younger generation with the same level of polish and professionalism is one of the main assets to not get into the ageism stereotype. This is just a quick overview about ageism in Canada. We should bear in mind that 1 in 3 Canadian persons admit they've been treated somebody differently because of their age. 71% agree that Canadian society value younger generation more than older one. Now 71% is 3/4 of the population admitting that fact. So it is quite a serious crime, and it should be quite taken seriously, and make people aware of ageism and how to end it. By 2051, a lot of associations are claiming that 1 in 4 people in Canada will be over the age of 65. So you have to bear in mind, we should start to end ageism today, start at least today, so we can reap the best benefit by that time and not be a victim of ageism. Now, generational differences at work. Now here's a quick debrief about the secondary researches we have based on our project. Deloitte has published a book called Decoding Generational Differences, Fact, Fiction, or Just Should We Go Back to Work? Written by William Stanton Smith in 2008. It's an amazing book because it clearly stands out, and it's an outgrowth of the generational differences issues at workplaces. To summarize the research, I would say that the author has kind of categorized 4 main business dilemmas. One is attitude towards the business. We have to understand that all the generations have a different approach to this. The Gen Y and Gen Z, which are the younger generations, they use electronic digital communications with other professionals and are indeed more successful as well. You have to bear in mind they even make personal relationships or friends through social platform, Facebook, Tinder, and many more. Which is the opposite of the baby boomers and the millennials, because they have been pledging and they've been working on face-to-face interactions, and in the neighborhood as well. So that's the different attitude we are facing, one of the main dilemma. Second one is the consumer attitude mindset. Baby boomers and millennials have less consumerism nature, which means they tend to buy less product, services, travel, trips, and focus more on saving money, obviously for this unpredictable rainy days. It's the mindset they had. They've seen the wars in the Second World War. They've seen the parents. They've seen, their grandparents in that mindset. So it's easy for them to follow that trend, but it's also a huge issue with the generations. The younger generation, the Gen Z and the Gen Y, they would tend to have probably 1 to 3 years experience in the same firm, compared to the baby boomers. They're willing to stay 10 to 15 years for the same job just to have that sense of security. And also they're very skeptical about trying new trends and products in the business. Third more important criteria is the technology. We have to bear in mind, obviously, the latest generation, the Gen X started from, but Y and Z, they define business values, trends, everything through all the technology. It could be platform, tools, software, tendency, everything. So that's a problem for somebody who has been vouching and pledging their value through seniority, because obviously having internet, it kind of erased, or it kind of raised the question on authority. Fourth and lastly as well, academic readiness attitude, which means that the baby boomers and the millennials have this attitude of having, high academic diplomas and degrees, which is completely the opposite of what the younger generations are working through. Younger generation believes that obviously, having a shortcut or being a dropout from high school could lead them to a more successful and secure job than those who spend 5 years doing a PhD, and will probably not even secure a job. So it's a different mindset. Coming to the conclusions, recommendations. As a team, these are the 5 main recommendations we have gathered through all the researches we have done. We should recognize and embrace the differences, break up from routine, be aware of generation-based hurdles, team up everybody, and stay informed. recognizing and embracing the differences, we should understand where everybody's coming from, so we can help, it can help us to tailor our tone, the body language, the spoken language. Everything works for the best. If obviously these are recognized and worked on, and obviously nobody wants to be treated differently, so make sure everybody's on the same. Breaking out from the routine means side effects are sense of suffocation for the older employee. They have this sense of unhuman feeling. Factory workers, bearing in mind that they work for companies 10 to 15 years, they need to have something to change the boredom and to change the routines. In short, change in routine means happiness and more productivity. We have to be aware of the generational based hurdles. Again, we have to ensure that everybody's on the top of the game with the latest development, technology, tools available for them to avoid any confusion or conflict in the future, or on any current projects, basically based on the age differences. One of the main criteria is to team everybody up. Employees in general tend to bunch up in age-based groups. So teaming up everybody together not only open business horizons for everybody, but different perspective and work ethics, which foster a greater atmosphere and productivity. Lastly, but not least, stay informed. Be sure to share that information with the fellow managers. Never forget that we are getting aged as well. And in that process, we should make sure that we are informed about any changes or any desire or any wants from any employee. Stay open to communication and obviously, fight against the ageism factor. Implementation action plans, understanding, recognizing, and proper leadership are the three main action plans to really work on. Ask each person what their values are and how they prefer to work. Also, recognizing them and how we can put them into place. Third, the leadership style should be very participative and not authoritative. Consensuous orientated, which means that having the consent of the other person attitude is the kind of right attitude to reap the benefits of productivity. Also, this is just a summary of all the action plans which could be put in place by anybody. We should find out about each person's value in the workplace and how they prefer to work. We should investigate about the performance, how it could be improved. Do they need any training, coaching in any sector? Communicating effectively with everybody in their preferred way of communication. Younger generation probably will like to have more emails and texting. They're comfortable with that level, but older generation, the baby boomers, will probably rather prefer a face-to-face meeting. So these are the key motivators and factors as well do influence employee success and internal happiness as well. We should not stereotype everybody. Everybody wants to be recognized for their skill set, their individuality, and that should be respected. Also, the way should be more as a leadership and not as a boss. Team reflection on this project. So as students, we do assume the working environment would be the same as our college or universities, but deep inside we know that we will face real challenges with the generational differences. And that project literally was one of the most interesting and valuable projects for our future, because we got to look into all the different traits, strengths, weaknesses, and the recommendations and solutions put in place to fight the ageism. These are all the individual reflection on final reports. So coming from myself, for me, it was a very interesting topic. We have to bear in mind that, we got to understand as a team the 4 generations traits, strengths, weaknesses, which are not only useful in workplaces, but also to understand the perspective of our closed one, parents, grandparents, and also the children, the younger generations. Finishing my international business diploma in a couple of weeks, this project definitely allowed me to, identify and fight to the real life challenges in workplaces. One of the most challenging part for for me as a team leader was literally splitting the workload, getting all the data assembled. Everybody had a busy schedule, so I was literally chasing. But obviously, once I got the data, editing for hours, and also, giving birth to this final product was amazing. So nevertheless, I'm really proud of this project and the teamwork effort. Jiwoo here, she was surprised of this problem occurring in the workplaces. So it was a huge import, and it was a huge learning curve for her, that she got to learn about the generation differences and how to investigate into the actual laws and the cases to get the best improvement out there. The challenges were hard, but a good one, and she said it made her look into this project in depth. For Priyanka, working in a group with different people, skill set, strength, was something she has learned through one of the main challenges as well. We have to make sure everybody has to keep calm and just manage their personal workload, and minimize all the conflict to get the best project details and success. And here we have Molly's, internal reflection. So according to her, the opportunities were quite huge to work on this project as a team. And obviously, she got a chance to look into this issue, the problematic in detail. And obviously, she got to learn more about her personal time management, checking emails, making sure that everybody's attending the meetings, and completing the task were really one of the main challenges, but as well opportunity to learn. And thank you very much for your time.